Hello, hello, and welcome to Bright Spots. I'm Laurie Labishak, your happiness ambassador, here to bring you another episode of Bright Spots. I hope you are having a fabulous week. It has been gorgeous here in Ohio, and I know we have a lot of folks that tune in from outside the area. Please leave us a message. Let us know that you're here, where you're tuning in from. We would love to hear from you. We've got a great show planned this evening with a wonderful guest that I can't wait to bring on. But before I do, I'd like to talk to you about bats. Yep, bats are on my mind today. So, my husband and I have bats in our attic. And you know that bats are protected. Does anybody out there know anything about bats? You can't kill bats. They are a protected species, and I was not aware of that. But I can tell you that I wasn't crazy about finding out that I have bats in my belfry, right? So the bats have babies. One bat has one baby every spring. And my husband and I had found a couple of bat babies in our living room. And they had fallen down from the attic, our second story, above our second story, we believe, between the bathtub surround and into the living room where we were replacing our ceiling. And there was a little bit of a gap that hadn't been closed up yet. So it was a little freaky to have these baby bats. But baby bats don't fly for about 4 weeks. And so you can't do anything with them until they are flying bats. So we had an exterminator come in yesterday and take a look. And my husband was very specific about how he wanted to get rid of the bats. He did not want to just put the do not return doors that they put on your house. When they find out where the bats are coming in at, they put a door that allows them to get out but doesn't allow them to get back in. And his concern was that if we did that and then sealed up the house, the bats would try to come back. And when they couldn't get in our house, they would most likely go into one of our neighbors' houses. And he didn't want to give them bats in their attic also. So we found a company here in Steubenville, Rose Exterminating, that actually captures the bats live. They put these baskets in your attic or wherever you have your bats, and the bats can get into the basket, but then they can't get out. And then they take those baskets away and they let the bats go somewhere safe where they're not going to come back to our house or our neighbors' homes. So that is a relief, right? Has anybody ever had bats in their house? I mean, I'm just curious. Have you had this problem? This is a first for me, and I've lived in the country, and I don't remember having bats. Now, my mother-in-law did tell me that when she lived on the farm, they had some bats in their attic, and I've had many people tell me that bats are good to have in your house or around anyways because they kill bugs. They eat mosquitoes, and I can honestly say we don't have a problem with mosquitoes or gnats or anything like that. So they must be eating them all. So I guess by relocating them, I'll get another kind of pest. I don't know. But anyways, I would love to hear if you know anything about bats, because this is truly something new for me. That's my rant for today, guys. I just had to share with you about the bats in my belfry. So without further ado, let's bring our guest into the studio. Tonight's guest is Ralph Parissi. Ralph is the library manager by day, having worked at the Shapa Library for the last 20 years, and a musician and performer by night. Ralph is one half of the pop group Albus, with his friend and namesake of the band, Joey Albus. Albus, ALBVS, performs around the Pittsburgh area and is about to release a third album this fall. Ralph is also active in the local theater community as an actor, and that's how I first met Ralph, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And he is an actor and sometimes a director. His favorite roles include John Wilkes Booth in Stephen Sondheim's Assassins, at the Strip Light Community Theater, and Sam, one third of Sophie's fathers in the musical Mamma Mia, performed at Brook Hills Playhouse. Currently, Ralph can be heard on the weekly podcast series Cloak and Dagger on the Air. And if you recall, we had the founder of Cloak and Dagger on the Air, Pete Fernbaugh, on our show a few weeks back. And I hope you're checking that out because that's really great. Those are short radio dramas that harken back to the days of radio. His favorite job of all, though, is raising his 6-year-old daughter, Anna Celia. So, folks, please make welcome to the Bright Spot studio, Ralph Parissi. Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Lori. How have you been?
I have been great. It is so good to see you. So, Ralph, you and I met on the stage at Brook Hills last summer for Mamma Mia.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic show.
It really was. There's so many things that pop up on my Facebook newsfeed now reminding me of that wonderful production.
Well, this past weekend was 1 year since we did the last weekend of it. So I've gotten all of the 1 year ago today. You were performing and with these people. So I've had a lot of good updates the last few days.
It's crazy that it's been a year, isn't it?
I can't believe it.
And it's crazy that there's not a play this year that we can be involved in.
It feels weird. In the last few years, I've either been in or directed something about this time, and to have nothing kind of feels off-putting. So that's why you talked about the Cloak and Dagger thing. It has been nice to get to perform in some way with those guys. That weekly podcast has given us a lot of feedback with acting and things like that. And just voice acting is such a different beast than getting on stage and getting to, act with your face. Because there's a lot, you have to dictate everything through your voice and the words and everything. So I think everybody in that does a good job of putting on a show that we can enjoy right now while we can't sit all together in the same room and watch it all at the same time, I guess.
Right. So, Ralph, Bright Spots started at the beginning of the pandemic. And one of the reasons that I started this broadcast was to talk to people about how the pandemic is affecting them. So can you share with us a little bit? A lot of people say that the pandemic has changed them in one way or another. Has it changed you, and how?
Yeah, I think I do. My introvert side really has enjoyed this. I will say that. And a lot of people are very shocked to find out that I have an introvert side, but I do, I swear. I am enjoying my time with my daughter. Getting to homeschool her was really actually kind of fun for the last couple months of the school year. Challenging, yes. Fortunately, my job, which we'll talk about here in a second, was closed for the same time that her school was closed. So what was nice was I got to be home and I got to be present and I got to engage in her education and see what she was learning. It actually gave me a new appreciation for teachers and what they have to do every day. We had a routine, we had a schedule, we had lunch, we had activity time. It was nice to get to spend that time with her because usually I'm working and I don't see her until I'm done with work and I come home for dinner and you get a few hours in the evening. But as far as changing negatively, I would say I'm pulled back a bit. I'm getting really used to being home. I'm getting really used to not having face-to-face contact with people. And it's sort of when we did go back to work and did open up the libraries again, it was very hard. There was a lot of anxiety about what is this going to be like and what do we do now? What does the library look like? What does my job look like? What does the world look like? Which is what we're all kind of dealing with right now. So it's about finding a new normal, I guess, which has been interesting. But for the most part, I think like everybody, we're doing our best and trying my best and just focusing on my daughter and what's important and making connections with those I can still spend time with.
That's great, Ralph. So, Ralph, what drew you into working at the library? You've been at the library for 20 years and you're the library manager. So What made you want to work at the library? Where did that come from?
I have been going to the library since I was a baby. One of the first things my parents did for me was take me to the main library in Steubenville and get me a library card. And we checked out all the great classics, like If You Give a Mouse a Cookie and Harold and the Purple Crayon and all those things that I remember my mom and my dad sitting and reading to me. And reading was always so important in my house growing up. Reading and music were the biggest things. And when I was a kid, I would want to go there for the weekend. I would want to do my homework there. I would want to look for new books and find new material. Like I said, introvert, so sitting at home and reading was a perfect afternoon. And when I became a teenager, I ended up there a little more. And I got to know the library staff. The Shapa branch where I manage actually opened when I was 5 years old. We opened on Groundhog's Day in 1987, and I started going there and getting to know the staff. And from working there, I can tell you that we get to know all of the regulars. So I feel like the staff got to know me, which was really weird when I started working there. But when I was 18 and I was a senior in high school, I was told by my guidance counselor that he knew of a job opening at the Shapa branch library as a page, putting away books 2 days a week. That's all you did. You went in, you put a cart of books, wheeled it up to the shelves and put them in order. And it was the best thing for me because I got to know every facet of the building, and I got to read books that I had not would not have ever given a second thought to, and knew where everything was put and the cataloging, and got an appreciation for the organization there. But what ended up happening was I entered at a time when technology kind of took over the way the public library works. So I was going to college for computer information systems, which was a lot of programming stuff. So when I graduated, I was offered a full-time job where I already worked a few days a week. I was offered full-time as long as I taught computer classes there. And I did a lot of state training when we upgraded our computer systems to a new way of checking books out. I got to be one of the people that traveled all over the actual state of Ohio and went to Columbus and went to Cleveland and went to Cadiz and went all over and taught other librarians how to use the software. And then coming up on that, I ended up instituting technology with teen programming. We started a video game night. We started a movie night. We started integrating technology into how we do our daily job. So what ended up happening was when my branch manager in 2012, who was fantastic, and I will always appreciate the job she did, Linda Stoller left and recommended me for the job. And I interviewed and I got that job, and I have been the manager of the Shapa branch of the Public Library of Steubenville and Jefferson County since 2012. So starting there in 2000, I've held almost every position I have worked, and I think being a jack of all trades helped me get that job. So I really have an appreciation for what everybody does and the way that we give information to the public, and we're ever changing and ever adapting. And I can tell you that technology background has come in very handy in 2020 and working a lot from home.
I'll bet. And I'm sure that you helped take the library a step further. Having you on staff probably saved them a lot of money from hiring somebody to do that stuff.
I like to think so. I don't know.
We have a question. Bethany Firmbaugh is asking, Ralph, what's your favorite thing about your job?
Hi, Bethany. How are you? My favorite thing about my job is that, and I get asked this a good bit, it's never the same. Every day is a different thing. One day you're helping somebody fill out unemployment applications, and you see the appreciation in their eyes when they, have had a job. They've worked in a steel mill for all these years, and then something closes down, and they don't know computers. They don't know how to make a resume and apply things online. And then one day you're helping someone who has recently gotten out of jail. True story. Help someone sign up for a free cell phone and to communicate with their parole officer and to get unemployment things and to find a job. We help kids who are learning how to read. discover books that they love to read. The most important thing you can do to teach a kid to read is find where their interest level is. The things that, I know from being in school, the things that I had to read, the things that the teachers told me I was forced to read were not the things that I wanted to read. Sometimes it turned out that I enjoyed it, but most of the time I wanted to go off and do my own thing. Helping adults learn how to use technology has been fantastic. I taught for a while, like I said, when I first started full time, I was teaching a computer class, which was mainly maintained by the local elderly people who never had a computer, and their grandson or grandchild bought them an iPad or bought them a laptop, and they wanted to learn how to do this, to watch. And I've seen people come back in years later and say, thank you. This is how far I've come. I can use a cell phone. I can use a tablet. I can download ebooks now. It's just a very rewarding job. And as my boss always likes to say, we are the last government agency where you do not need a prerequisite to enter and use our facilities. There's no income level. There's no age range. There is nothing that you need to do other than be a breathing citizen to come in and use our services. And that's the best thing, is that when you call us, you get an actual human on the other end of the phone. When you come in, we know how to direct you to what you're going to find. Everyone who works there and has worked there for years, from the people that have only been there a couple of years, the people that I've worked with that trained me, really know what they're doing. And I can honestly say really care about everybody who walks through that door. We want you to leave satisfied. We want you to leave finding what you were looking for. And we also want you to leave knowing something we do that you didn't know we did before.
And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the services that the local library provides in the second half of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuning into Bright Spots, a weekly show highlighting individuals who are doing unique and wonderful things to shine their light in our community. Our guest this evening is Ralph Parissi, the manager of the Shapa branch of the Steubenville Jefferson County Library. And we're really tickled to have Ralph with us this evening. And Ralph, you mentioned earlier that your technology background came in handy during the pandemic. So how did your job change professionally, and what types of things were you doing working from home as opposed to working at the library? And also, was working at home challenging for you? Was it hard to stay focused on the job at hand?
That's a really good question. When everything first came down, mid-March, and our board decided, we're going to send everybody home. Me and one other staff member at the Shapa branch were still going in the week after that. And we were maintaining phones, and we were answering questions and getting a lot of calls. Are you open? And explaining we weren't, but how can we help you from here? And then as it looked a little more dire, our management and our board decided to send everybody home. So the last week in March, I actually got to be home, and that continued through the last week of May. And what changed was, just getting into a new routine, going into the library maybe once a week, checking a book drop, returning some messages, answering questions online, answering emails, getting a lot of just, how can I get this book now that you're closed? My son has this project. He's still in school. What do I do? And you try to direct them to other services, namely a lot of our online services, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But I coped a lot with music. I started a daily acoustic guitar cover series called Quarantunes, which was not a name I came up with. Everybody was using Quarantunes, so I'm not going to take ownership of that. But I've always coped with anxiety, with depression, with changes with music, and playing guitar and singing have always helped me to get through situations. So I would post a daily song every day, and I found a lot of my staff liked it, and a lot of people online liked it, and I kept going with that. And then that would help me cope with things, getting emails about the job and when are we going to come back, and talking to my staff about here's what we're going to do and here's the latest update. But really it pushed us to push our patrons towards technological things. We have a lot of online services now, more than I think we ever have. services that will help you repair your car, services that will help you study for tests, services that will help you take the SATs, services that will help you get legal help for free online. So really online, we were pushing a lot of that. Whenever we got the emails and we got the chat boxes and the phone calls, we were telling people, download some ebooks, check out our online services, check out our, Ask a Librarian service, order your books. We're going to try to get those to you. My boss, Michael Gray, who runs the entire Jefferson County library, was really trying his best to make sure that if people needed a physical item, he was at the main library. I mean, he was there while all of us were home. And he would communicate with us things that were going on, and the people that couldn't access online and couldn't get on and use ebooks, we really, he was out there saying, well, come to the main library. I'll meet you outside. I'll have a mask and gloves. Here's a container. Take your stuff out of the container. And that really gave us a lot of the inspiration when we started our curbside service, when we came back and weren't letting people into the library. And it's just now in the last couple of weeks that we've started letting people into the library again, albeit for very short sessions inside.
Okay. So we do have a question from Mara Daniel. Mara asks, what have you been reading during the quarantine yourself?
Wow, a lot of medical articles. Just trying to keep up on everything like everybody else. I did get the book on the history of the show The Office, which I have been trying to get started into. I ordered Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher on The Sopranos. He wrote a fiction book called The Perfume Gets in His Eyes that is really good. And a lot of my reading has been children's books. A lot of it has been reading to my daughter and going over her math homework, which I found out apparently at a kindergarten level, you start working on fractions. Didn't know that, so that was fun to get back into. A lot of kid stuff, a lot of little readers. She is 6.5 years old and she's learning to read. So most of my reading, I'm going to be honest, and this is weird to hear a librarian say this, has been reading to my daughter and not for pleasure, which reading to her is for pleasure. But it's been reading a lot of kids' books and keeping up on her stuff and teaching her how to read, which she has been coming along greatly. She's going to start first grade in the fall. So
fabulous. And as a reader myself, I'm wondering how many people actually are card-carrying library people. Like how many, because there's a lot of rumors out there that people don't go to the library anymore, or they don't have a library card because things are so accessible online with Amazon and other booksellers that are online. And then of course, audiobooks with Audible and Kindle and all of that. How many people actually utilize the library services, Ralph?
You would be surprised. And I've heard that argument before, and I've heard people ask, and I think the Herald Star a few months ago even had one of their questionnaires was, do you still think the library is relevant in 2020? And my answer to that, not just because I work there, I see it on a daily basis. We are more relevant than ever before with the services we offer, just starting with the reading and the card holders. To answer your first question, I mean, we have numbers in the tens of thousands across the county that are utilizing our services from. We're all across. We have branches in Toronto, Ohio, Dillonvale, Adena, Tiltonsville, Toronto, Brilliant, Chapa's in the west end of Steubenville, and the main libraries in downtown Steubenville. And we have a bookmobile that actually travels around. Mainly we're nursing homes and senior centers, but we do go to low income areas, places where maybe people can't get to the library. We go out to more rural areas where maybe it's more of a drive for them to come in, the Burgles area, Richmond, things like that. So we do service a very large area of Jefferson County. But in addition to kind of what I was saying earlier about why I love the job and what you do, we have people that are displaced out of their jobs right now and filing unemployment benefits or filing applications. I just helped someone yesterday put an application in. He's getting a job in South Carolina. It's a guy that I knew from high school, stopped in yesterday, asked for me, and I came out and helped him fill out his PDF form for this job that he's moving to South Carolina to take, and he really did not know how to do this. And I stood with him and did that with him. We are leading the way on utilizing technology. We are a community hub. When you don't have air conditioning and you want to sit and read, come to the library. When you don't have high-speed internet, come to the library. When you want a movie, Blu-ray, DVDs, and you can't afford Netflix, you can't afford Hulu and all the streaming services, free movies at the library. And we even also have, like I said, online services. One of our most popular ones is hoopla.com. If you go to the studentlibrary.org, which is scrolling across the screen, and go to the e-branch, the e-databases, you'll find Hoopla. And it is the Netflix of the public library. And with a library card, it's completely free. You can stream to your TV, your computer, your phone, your iPad, movies, television shows, audiobooks, ebooks, comic books. A lot of people do a lot of shunning of the graphic novel, and that has really ruined reading. And I can't disagree more. There are people that are turning Shakespeare's works into graphic novels to make them relevant to modern society. We are always adapting. We are always changing, and we are always utilizing technology to reach every generation. But we have still not gotten rid of the print, the magazines, the microfiche, the card catalogs are just on the computer now, but they're still the same thing that from 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 years ago.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Still employed, and still the best way to catalog books. I don't care what the Library of Congress says.
So we have a comment from Jessica Kelly. She says, "This is so eye-opening. The help you are providing our community is amazing." And Ralph, I'm really glad you agreed to come on the show, because you're really shining a light on the fact that the library is so much more than a depository of books. There is so much more happening there. And in the second half of our show, we're going to touch on that, as well as get a little insight into what's going on in the music world in your life and what you have coming up. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuning into Bright Spots, a weekly show highlighting bright spots in our community. And tonight we are talking with Ralph Parissi of the Steubenville Jefferson County Public Library. Please stay tuned. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back. Ralph, it is so good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the format. I love the whole production value. This is really cool.
Yeah, it is something that I found accidentally. My sister was using it in North Carolina for her agritourism business. And when I saw what she was doing with it at the beginning of the pandemic, I said, man, I gotta know what you're using. I gotta see if I can do something with this. So it's been fun learning the system and being able to use it. So Ralph, we're going to talk a little bit about the library and the services. Now, I shared with you myself that there are services that the library provides that I didn't know were provided until I learned about it through my employment. But one of our watchers, a friend of yours, Joey Albus,
I know
is
him.
asking, so tell us about, does the library offer any music services to listen to your favorite artists and songs, such as Dirt on My Boots? Now, that's pretty specific,
That is very
Joey.
specific. Joey must really like that song.
Yeah. So, Ralph, why don't you give us an answer?
We actually do. We offer Hoopla, like I was saying in the first half, which is a sort of Netflix/Spotify for public library users. And if you have a library card in Jefferson County and most Ohio public libraries, you can go to our webpage and link to Hoopla. It's Hoopla. And you can get music. You can stream entire CDs. I think our most downloaded CD right now is the Hamilton soundtrack. Now that has come out on Disney Plus, everybody wants to listen to that. And it is a free service. We actually have a subscription to it, and our users benefit from that. We also offer music through our ebook site, Overdrive. There are apps on your phone, just like with Hoopla. There is an app called Libby, Libby, and if you look for that in your App Store or Google Play Store, you will find it. And when you start it up, it asks you, what public library do you belong to? And it allows you to choose your library, put your card number in, and see all of the offerings we have. You can download right to your phone, stream right from your device. Hoopla has no waiting periods whatsoever. If it's available on the site, you can get it today. So there's a lot of music streaming through that. A lot of different download services that we have. But I'd say the best one for music, especially something to find a specific song, would probably be Hoopla.
Okay. So, Joey, there you have it. That is the answer to your question. So, Ralph, Pete Birnbaugh says, hey, Ralph, good to see you. Just how many James Patterson books are there?
So I have a theory, Pete, that James Patterson passed away years ago, and other authors have been using his name to write books because there's no way this guy is turning out as much content as he does. He is a business now and not really an author. I would have to estimate, if I were hard pressed, I would say James Patterson has well over 600-700 titles out there in the ethos. It seems like every month there's something new. The guy has several series. The Women's Murder Club. Alex Cross is still going strong. The guy is relentless. But you always see another author's name, very tiny, on the bottom of the book cover. So I think I read this, he outlines a lot of his projects and he frames them out to other authors who are upstarts who might not be able to sell it based on their name alone. So they attach the James Patterson name to it, and you have to write in that Patterson style of very short chapters, mysterious, cliffhangery, all that stuff. And there's still a few of his titles I think he writes alone, Alex Cross being one of them. I think that's his like pet project, but everything else he uses somebody else for. So I'm going to take a stab and say 658. It's like, guess how many jelly beans are in the jar, right?
That's a specific number. Oh, how funny. So, when I think of James Patterson, I think of Richard Castle. So,
absolutely.
I have Richard Castle's series. So, and I just think of that television series where, of course, Patterson was often a guest star.
Yeah.
And Pete also puts a little plug in that Hoopla is amazing, that you're not overselling it. It is like the Netflix for the library. So
our patrons go crazy, and we see every month there's more. And of course, there's been more usage in the last few months. But since we started Hoopla a couple of years ago, it has just been outrageous, the number of people that are discovering this service just now and the numbers that we get of people that are so happy that we have this. And there's no charge. There's no charge for something that a subscription service would charge you anywhere from $5 to $15 per month to have access to.
And Ralph, for folks who are wanting to learn things, they want to learn how to use Microsoft Excel, they want to learn how to use PowerPoint, they want to learn pretty much anything. The library has an online source for that as well that's available with your library card. Tell us about that, because I have utilized this service a lot and will continue to. So I think it's a real value.
Yes, it is LinkedIn Learning. And it used to be Linda, and it still is, but now they're trying to go by this LinkedIn connection because LinkedIn bought Linda about a year ago. And what it is training and online classes and videos of pretty much anything you could want to learn. And I mean anything. I took a class while we were down for COVID and closed. One of the things that we were doing from home is they were asking us to continue adult education. As librarians, we should know these services and we should use them from home. So they were asking us to each week try one of the new databases or take a class or listen to a seminar from the state. And one of the things I fell in love with was Lynda. It's Lynda, and if you go to the public library's website, it is in our e-resources. And I found a class on how to file your own taxes. I found a course on acting. I found a course on playing guitar from beginners. You can go in and learn strumming and picking, and there's vocal lessons there. I saw juggling. They taught you how to juggle on their auto repair. I was amazed at the level of classes offered by this site. And when we first got it, none of us were really sure what it was. The state was making a big deal about it. And you got to promote lynda.com and, send people to this. And we have it has been this breath of fresh air as far as continuing adult education. And there's plenty for kids too, but it's been really beneficial for people who maybe don't have the money to go to a community college and pay for a class, or go to a community center and pay for a class. You want to learn sign language? It's there. You want to learn how to change the oil in your car? It's there. You want to learn how to rewire a DVD player? There's a class for it. It is astounding what Lynda offers. And like I said, if you're familiar with LinkedIn, which is a jobs-based social media page where you can upload a resume and look for jobs, and job seekers use it, this was a really nice extension from them. So if you need PowerPoint classes, if you're getting into a job back into the workforce and you don't know Microsoft Office, or you don't know the Apple programs like GarageBand, things like that, you can sit and take an hourly class at your own pace. There's nobody sitting there telling you have to do this right now. They'll set up the sessions. Some are 20 minutes long, some are 2 hours long. And you're listening to experts in their field teach you how to do this stuff. And that has been really cool to watch our patrons and our staff get really, really into. And it's all free. It is a free service.
Yeah, it has really been an incredible resource. I work at Trinity Health System, and we have been encouraged to utilize lynda.com for a lot of the things that we need to know for administrative use. And I guess that's why I mentioned Excel, because I learned how to use. I've used Excel for many years. I didn't realize what all Excel could do. And being able to learn that at my own pace on lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning has been incredible. It's been one of those things that you could pull up, late at night and just kind of work on at your own pace and not have to worry about getting a passing grade, I guess, and then putting it into practice and actually trying it, which it really has been great. So I also do not believe that Ralph is overselling LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com. So if you get a chance to check that out, we want to share with you the library's website. And this is the library's website.
Which right now we are really pushing our summer reading challenge. Most summers we get to do a summer reading club. where people come into the library and they read so many books and they turn in forms. And this year we just really couldn't do that. And when we started June, it was all curbside service. We weren't letting anybody in. So we really went more online this summer than we have any other year. So the Imagine Your Story is our theme this year. And we have clubs and events and things for kids, teens, adults, any age range. And what we did this year was we finally, and I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, created a YouTube channel. So our programming has been on YouTube. We will pre-record or do something live and send it out and engage with people at home. So if you go to the library's website, and the summer reading program does end at the end of this week, but there's still time to go in and take some of the challenges and turn some of your reading logs in. We are giving away some Amazon gift cards next week. I believe for the teens and adults, we may have some Kindle Fire tablets to give away, which were provided to us by grants, donations, good people in the community who donate to us every year. We really, at this time, need to press upon small businesses and mom and pop shops to help us out. But we've had a lot of people come through with donations, either monetarily, that just really believe in the library and our mission. And that's every year. But this year, we've been really surprised at the outpouring of support that people just want to come back into the library and support us. So we've had, puppet programs for kids, professional storytellers for adults and teens. We had a painting program, and all the stuff you can access anytime you want. You don't have to be there at a certain time. It's not like our programs where you walk into the meeting room at 7 o'clock on a Thursday, at 10 in the morning, and you're still in your jammies and you want to learn how to paint. Take our painting program. Our resident Zumba instructor, Colleen Frankhauser, taught us all an aerobic exercise that was touted at kids, but really ended up being an all ages thing. And I was very out of breath when I did that. So she is very good, and I am very out of shape.
Okay, so folks, there you see it. That is the Steubenville Public Library's website. There's a lot of resources on there. I mean, I encourage you, if you do not have a library card is free. I believe you still have to show your ID. Is that correct? You have to show a driver's license.
If you live in the state of Ohio, our library card is free. Because we're on the border, we get a lot of people from West Virginia and PA, which is great. We love seeing them. There's a $10 out-of-state fee, but that covers everybody in your household for the entire year. So if you pay the $10 and you have 10 people in your house, everybody gets a card. And that's because we are mainly funded by state tax. So we do like the people that are utilizing those services from other states. And the same thing, I believe, if Ohioans go to West Virginia, I think it's $10. But you get a lot for your $10. But like I said, if you live in Ohio and provide an Ohio ID, or you live out of state and own any property in Ohio, that also counts. You get a free library card at any age.
That's awesome. So, Ralph, is this unique to Steubenville, or are there or Jefferson County Library? Do libraries across the country have these types of services? Because we do have visitors that watch this show from Texas and Illinois and Iowa, Las Vegas, Arizona. So are these services available at other public libraries? Is this kind of a national thing?
Absolutely. It depends on the library system. Just going from Ohio, we are connected to something called the SEO Library Consortium, which stands for Serving Every Ohioan. So when people come in and can't find a book on our shelf, we are able to order things for people through other libraries across the state. So we are connected to libraries in Toledo, Findlay, Columbus, Cincinnati, Akron, Tuscarawas, Cadiz, Martins Ferry, just to speak within the area. We have over 200 library buildings. We are 7 libraries in Jefferson County, but there's a much larger network that we're a part of. So if there's something you need, chances are we can find it. Now, going across the country, we have ordered books from libraries in Texas and California and academic libraries in Michigan and Wyoming. And we can get stuff sent in from them. And I've talked to other people when we have our library conferences, and people come from all over the country for these things. You talk to people and you find out we're all basically offering a lot of the same things. And what maybe Jefferson County doesn't offer today, but Oklahoma offers, we may offer a year from now, or they may learn something from us. Librarians by nature are always trying to educate and always trying to educate themselves. So we are always interested in what other libraries are doing. And I find that other people, when I go to these conferences, are very interested in what we're doing. We'll ask questions and we'll say, well, we tried this. Have you tried this? And we're having a problem with this. So we are very, we communicate a lot with other libraries across the country. And most of the stuff that we're implementing are not unique to us. They're things that we have gotten recommendations of from people who went to Florida and said, I have a summer home down there and they have this service. You might want to look into it. And we look into it and we get it. So our customers have actually influenced a lot of the things that we offer. It's really interesting. We listen to them, they listen to us. And some states are better funded than others. And I really hope that, wherever you are, you live in a state that really supports its public libraries. But we have had a lot of luck living where we live. Ohio libraries are often, almost always, listed within the top 3 to 5 state libraries across the U.S. Just because of how much we're able to share items and communicate with each other.
And I will do a little plug for the Imagination Library that has been launched recently with partnership, the United Way, Trinity, the Public Library. Children under the age of 5, so 0 to 5 years of age, will receive books free of charge from the Imagination. I know I'm not saying that right. Imagination
Library. It was started by Dolly Parton.
That's right. It was founded by Dolly Parton. And so here at Trinity, when babies are born, and I say here at Trinity because I work at Trinity, when babies are born, we automatically enroll not only the newborn, but if there are other children in the family that are under 5, we enroll those children too. And we give them the first book. And then I believe it's every month they get a book for 5 years, free of charge, thanks to a generous supporter, the United Way. And it is an initiative that was started by the governor's wife across the state of Ohio. So we're excited. We were getting ready to do a big launch of that just before COVID hit, and we had to put the launch on hold, but we didn't put the actual beginning of the program on hold. We have been enrolling families in the program. So if you are expecting a child or you have children 5 and under, please reach out to the library about enrolling, or reach out to Trinity about enrolling, and we'll get you started so that your children can have those books.
Absolutely.
So Ralph, have you read The Hippopotamus?
I have not read that.
It's a fabulous book. I've been collecting books for my new grandchild that is on the way. And The Hippopotamus is a book that I found at one of the local bookstores, and it is a very cute book. I bet your daughter would love it.
I'm going to go into work tomorrow and I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, as you can imagine, it's about a hippopotamus that has the hiccups. And it's absolutely darling. I don't have it right here with me, or I would tell you who the author is. So folks, if you get a chance, please check out the Jefferson County Library. But I would like to talk with Ralph and Joey, if you are still online. Ralph, if you'd like to share the link to the stream with Joey via Facebook Messenger, the way I shared it with you. Sure. Joey is welcome to join the stream. We'd love to pop him in the screen so that he can talk with you about the music. If he is still tuned in, I'm not sure, but you can find out. And we can talk a little bit to both of you about your music. And folks, Albus is the name of the band, And that's ALBVS, correct?
Yep, ALBVS.
ALBVS is the band, and you play. It's like
We play the laptop.
disco music, right? I mean, when I came to hear you play it, it's like 70s.
It is a
No.
dance, some funk, some computer techno stuff.
Yeah. So how did you choose that genre of music? How, I guess Joey would be the one to ask that, but you were part of the founder of Albus, correct?
Yeah, so I knew Joey because he played in a band called We Must Save the Princess with my brother, Ian. And they were kind of a rock outfit. And he was putting together a solo thing. The band was kind of coming to an end. Everyone was doing their own thing. And what ended up happening was he asked me to write something with him. And he had heard we frequented a karaoke night at a local club, and he heard me sing This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan. And he said, you have a nice voice. Do you want to be featured on my album? I'm doing a pop dance thing that's not the rock thing that I'm used to doing. And I said, okay. So we sat and we wrote a song, and that felt really good. And we wrote a couple more songs. And then he said, well, I'm going to need a DJ for shows and stuff like that. Would you want to be a part of this? And then the deeper we got into it, we just became equal partners in it. And we put the V in there. He's ALBUS, of course. So we put the V in there to make it like a versus sort of thing. There's two people in it. But that's actually not true because there's three people. Our friend Chris Vagajas, who is an amazing producer, works on almost all of our music, adds things to it that we don't even think about. And between the three of us, we end up with something that we're really proud of. That sort of, we call it, dance music with a heart. We try to, write more thought-provoking lyrics, I guess. We don't always succeed. And we share duties in singing and coming up with motifs in music and things like that. And when we play live, Chris drums with us. And Chris is the real mastermind, absolutely. So we put out an EP in the fall of 2016, and we put our full-length album out near the end of 2017. And we got to tour on that. We got to play. We got to go to Texas and Tennessee, all over. And I hear a song in the background that's one of ours. And we have videos on YouTube. If you look up ALBVS on YouTube, we have singles and videos and stuff like that. We're on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes. And we've released a few singles that are coming out off of this album. But we will be hopefully releasing our third album very soon.
Okay, so let's give the folks a taste of Albus. This was your original Albus Lockdown. That was your original.
Which is funny because lockdown has taken on a new meaning in 2020.
Exactly.
This was our first professional video. We actually did a crowdfunding thing to actually get this off the ground, and we hired a director out of Pittsburgh who came in and directed this for us. And it tells a neat little story. And we filmed a lot of it in my basement. So the grungy looking spot, we moved all my basement stuff around and made it look as bare as possible. We got to smash a TV on set. It was great. We took an old TV set no one was using, and we got to do that. And this song is one we almost always play live because it has a nice little sing-along at the end of it.
Okay, so let's give the folks a taste of it.
She was a siren called to me. The promise of a touch would imprison me. Now I'm a sailor lost at sea. Trapped in a cell, no room to breathe. Peaceful waters calling tauntingly. The light from the window haunting me. it's lights out, but I'm gonna be free. Break out, keep my head down. Well, I'm gone and you can't keep your chains on me. I'm gone, I'm gone. This town is a memory. Break out, keep my head down. Well, I'm gone and you can't keep
Okay, so there was a taste of Albus, and I see that Joey is still with us, and he says Chris is the real mastermind
He is not lying.
behind the group.
Chris is a genius, a musical genius.
Yeah. So, Joey, you're not going to join us here in the studio?
But I think he's shy. I just think he's just being really shy today.
Yeah, most musicians are that way, you know. We're a little shy. So, Ralph, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on my Bright Spot show. I thank you so much for taking time out of your evening on what looks like a beautiful night.
It is.
Spending it here with us and answering some questions and telling us about the library and the wonderful services there. And folks, in case you've forgotten, it is steubenvillelibrary.org. Please be sure and check that out. And if you don't have a library card, you need to get one. And also check out Albus, the band. You can go to YouTube, which is what I did, and searched Albus. So ALBVS, and you will find all of their music that they have out there. And you can look forward to a new album coming soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. And where do you do your recording, Ralph?
We actually, because everything's computerized now and you can do stuff in your own house, we usually record either in Chris's home or in Joey's home. Okay. We've actually, to tie this all together, have written many of the songs in my office at work. And look who's here.
There's Joey.
Hi, buddy.
Hi.
Congratulations on your new home.
Thank you. I'm in here right now. It's fantastic. I'm showing the kitchen because everything else is not unpacked yet.
I'm sure.
Well, welcome to the show, Joey. We just have a couple of minutes, but thank you for tuning in. And we look forward to the new album. That's going to be wonderful.
Thank you. We're very excited about it. No, Ralph sent me this link, and I didn't know exactly what it meant, but then I heard it, and I was like, oh, I'll join in.
Once we edit all of Joey's singing out of it, the album's going to be ready to go.
Ah, gotcha. Well, I was fortunate to see you at First Friday last year, so I know firsthand that you're both very talented, and yes, the other young man is the brains behind the whole thing. I saw him back there drumming and working the machine. So it is great to have you. And maybe when you get ready to release the new album, we can bring all three of you back on and you can talk about the new album and tell folks where they can go to get it. I'd be happy to help you promote that and would love to do that. So let me know when it's ready and we'll bring you back on Bright Spots. And there's nothing better than supporting my fellow musicians. So I believe that bringing music to the Valley, we are definitely spreading light. So
thank you, Lori.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing what you're doing, guys. It has been great having you. And stick around for just a minute, Ralph. I'd like to talk to you off screen just for a minute after we close the show.
Okay.
And Joey, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, thanks for joining in.
Thank you, Joey.
Right. Thank you. Ralph, great to have you, and we'll bring you back next time.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Thank you.
All right. I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
So, folks, that is another wrap for a Bright Spots edition this week with Ralph Parissi of the Steubenville Library and the band Albus. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Bright Spots. Join us next week for another great show. We've got a wonderful guest next week, and we are booked out, folks, but we are still booking for the end of August, beginning of September. So if you know a bright spot, please send them my way so we can get them on the show as soon as possible. God bless you all. Keep shining your light. And be sure you come back every week for another wonderful edition of Bright Spots. I'm Laurie Labishak, your happiness ambassador, and I can't wait to see you again. God bless. Bye-bye now.